my God, I didn't know it was that high. I mean, I grew up seeing people do it. I was never interested. I thought it was always dirty. I
Oh,
see it, and it's not just Africans. I mean, other cultures do it too.
Caribbeans,
And,
Asians,
and
it's
Asians,
everywhere.
the Asians, the bleaching. I mean, you're already white, but
Yeah,
bleaching because they want to get that white
light
porcelain,
skin.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I was
So
told
it's
you'll never
weird.
get married. You're too ugly. You're too dark. Man will never marry you. So I
You've
grew up
heard
with
that.
that. Yeah,
You've
I've heard
heard
that
that
many
day
times.
in and day out.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
hey guys, welcome back to Journeys of Life podcast. Today I have my guest, Therese Mbaye. Did I say that correctly? Yeah, I did.
Perfect.
Of course. Um, Therese is somebody special. I met her a few years ago. She was a personal trainer. And since then, I mean, she has quite a story to tell. So I'm just going to let her say it. Hi, Therese. How are you?
Hi, Fatu. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. And how are you today?
I am wonderful. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for this. So
Me
please
too.
open mic. Tell us who you are. And let's start from there, your life journey.
All right. Well, I go by Therese, and being in America, I had to change the name as Teresa. Or if you speak Spanish, I tell people Teresa. Es la mismo. It's the same name, different pronunciation. However, for those of you who can't pronounce it, I always say use the last name Perez in Spanish instead of P. Replace it with the T, and you got Therese. The same sounding. I was born and raised in Senegal, West Africa, precisely in Kaolack. And if you know Kaolack, it's like the mid-center of the Senegal, and it has something very special. Most people who were born and raised, they have brown teeth, like brown teeth. So you smile and they have like, oh, you got the ID. So
It's
I
that
got
one.
still few spots. Yep, I still got few spots. Sometimes people are like, you get red stuff, lipstick. I'm like, no, you ain't. It's just who I am. So yeah, born and raised in Kaolack, migrated in the United States around 2011 through a full scholarship via 10,000 Girls, an amazing woman who was the head of it and the leader of it, named Viola Vaughn. And I'm here today. I came to the US to study, and I'm here now, married with kids. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a confidence coach. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a business that I call Noiro. And yes, thriving and making impact into this world. And yes, this is me in a short
Okay.
description.
Hey, we're gonna get into that business and the name, the meaning of the
Yes.
name. I love that. I know the meaning so already, but we're gonna tell our audience what does
Yeah.
it mean. Okay, so what was your life like in Senegal before you came? What was your
I,
experience?
it was interesting. I would say, like most majority of kids, it's joy, fun, great environment, but also chaotic. I grew up in a household, a very successful mother and father. However, I was in a very abusive relationship, kind of. So I grew up just seeing violence nonstop. Then you know how it is when my parents separated. We moved into my grandparents' house, and I was living with 25 people in one home and one bathroom. When I say that, people are like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I had to adjust."
Wow.
Yes. So I had cousins, I had uncles with the kids. Sometimes the uncle can have a couple of wives. And I had my grandma, my grandfather, me and my three brothers. My mom raised us, and she's an amazing woman, a leader. She's my idol. So growing up there was also chaotic because there was a lot of jealousy, a lot of fight, but also we had the harmony between cousins. You know how it is, like African kids playing outside, creating games, being creative, studying, loving each other. But at the same time, I had to deal with all that violence that raised me until in my 20s that I left to after high school to attend the only American school that was in my region. It was actually in Dakar. That's why I moved there. So
Oof.
yeah, this is me.
So wow. Okay, so you grew up witnessing violence, right?
Correct.
As a kid, we know that first impressions are everything, and kids
Mhm.
tend to pick up. So how did that affect you before we even go on to the bigger house, right?
Mhm,
I was
mhm,
just
mhm.
growing and seeing that because that's not, did you think that was normal or like how
You
was that
know,
for you?
the fact of the matter is, we grew up in an environment. It's still probably going on. A woman should, a woman should, a woman
Mm,
should. And there's always something that follow. A woman should be submissive to his husband, to her
to her
husband,
husband, yeah. Yep.
because the husband is the door to heaven. We've heard that from the
Yes.
religion.
I will say I will call BS right here. Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
you know.
exactly. And
Okay.
a woman should not leave her household. My mother, I remember, tried to leave so many times, or every time she go back, everybody sent her back. My uncles, everybody's like, "You need to go back. You need to go." It was like bruises all over. Like, it's horrible experience. It's horrible, like violence. I remember her always. It was either a black eye or there was always something broken. But for me, the thing that marked me the most, and I will never forget, is having me and my brother. And this is before we moved into my grandparents' house. Having my for example, my father attacking my mom, like, on our bed, like she was running towards her kids, hoping that he will stop, but he wouldn't. So, like, a broken bed, like, imagine a whole man standing in a bed and like beating out a grown ass woman. So some images you cannot take take away. They mark you forever. But it was the norm back then, because a woman should. She tried to escape many times, but finally she got the courage, and that's why she is my idol today. She had the courage to come out of there. She had the courage to have her own job, even though back then women could not really work. If you work, you were like, "What are you doing out? You need to be next to your husband's lap." And these are true stories. So yes, it was an interesting upbringing. However, there's a lot of joy too that I remember, me and my brothers, and having kind of a family that was like at least in the more upper class. We had our own chauffeur, we had two maids in the house, we had everything we needed, and we were always nicely dressed up. Like, money and abundance was there. However, peace was lacking.
Oh boy. Okay. So on the outside, it's like, I grew up, I didn't grow up in violence, thank God,
Mhm.
but I know the culture you're referring to, right? A woman should
Yes.
be quiet,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
kids should be seen, not heard, right?
Heard.
Those type of stigmas that we grow up in the society, like you're not allowed, a woman shouldn't be too loud, right?
Yep, you
A
can't
woman
speak
should,
up.
a woman shouldn't, a woman should, but so you're telling me on the outside, it seemed like you had it all, right? You
I
had
had
the
it all.
you
I
had
had
the
it all.
driver, you had the money, you went to the schools, the
Everything.
clothes, everything was set. But at home,
Everything.
this guy is literally attacking your mother in your bed.
Yes. Yes. Every
Okay.
single
And
day. It was like, it was hell. And especially, it was like, it's most my mom's story. And I can't wait to tell her story one day. But like, she's a resilient woman. She pushed to get a job and became one of the top 10 insurance agent, even though she was told she would not finish her school at 18 because she had to repeat her school and her parent wouldn't pay for private school. So she figured out how to go finish school or like get trained in something special and became the best insurance agent that back then, and has a woman, which was among men. So yeah, she's one of those fighters. She's a warrior. And like they said, there's always a mother behind every successful person in a way.
I
That's
am
how I
so
see it.
proud of this woman.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I am so proud of her. Tell her
She's
she is
amazing.
like, yeah, she
I will. I
I am
will.
proud of what she did,
Mhm.
especially
Mhm.
when you're going against the crowd, right?
Correct.
As a mom, I cannot imagine my child coming to me with bruises all over it, and I'm sending
Oh,
her back to the
yeah.
source of the bruises. But
Yeah.
as a person from that culture, I've heard the stories.
Oh,
What
they exist. I've
they exist
seen them.
all
I've
the time.
seen
You've
them
seen
many
it.
times.
I
Many
heard
times.
them, right? I've heard these stories, but I think you're like the first person my age that witnessed it, because everybody that's been telling the story is like maybe like 2 3 generations ahead, right?
Oh, no.
Oh,
No, no.
even you go there, you got beaten, they will pack you up with your stuff and send you back to your husband and
Yeah.
all the weirdness that
Yeah.
they do.
You would see the imam get involved, the neighbors, all the guys, the uncles, and the women have no voice. And everybody will sit you down. And this is the truth. This is reality that I witnessed through my mom, but also through my aunts, through like the neighbors. You'll see a neighbor like with one husband, three women sharing one husband. It was always the same thing. If one leaves, she's not happy. She's not. There's always someone who brings her back, and the someone is usually the man, the imam, the uncles, the brothers, the father that says you have to go back. Sutura is good, but also this is where you belong. You have to. You can't come back to our own house. When you divorce, where you go, usually you go back to your parents' house.
You do, especially if you have no financial
Yeah, and
stability, right?
stability. Yeah, even if
Stability.
you
So you
do,
have
even if
like
you do, you're a judge. Even if you do, you're a judge. My mom, even for example, she tried moving out, had her own apartment. She was working, she could afford it, and she would always she would live there and work, and we had a maid, and we'd go to school, come back. But that was considered not good because what are you doing out there by yourself? You're not married. You should not be by yourself as a woman. And it might be different in Dakar, the capital, where it's a little more different mindset, positivity, and advancement, and like improvement in life. But in the majority of the regions, that's the lifestyle till
yeah,
this day.
it's more like village type, everybody knows
Exactly.
everybody. It's very guys, to give you
Exactly.
perspective into what we're talking about, we're not
Yes.
third world country, number one. And number
Hmm.
two, we're talking about not the city in the third
Hmm.
world country where people might be more exposed to other ideas. And this
Hmm.
is like 2 decades or 3 decades ago minimum, right? So
Exactly.
and the mindset. Listen, girl, listen. Wait,
It's getting there, but the fight gotta keep going, man. People like me, people like mother, people like you, people have to speak up, and it's up to the women. There were
yeah,
so many NGOs that were starting to help women, with violence to understand the amount of violence. My mama was amongst them, and today she's into politics, still fighting. But yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a fight, and I think that's where I got all this fight from. Yeah, I was raised, and I
girl, you
knew
got fighting.
from the beginning you just gotta fight. There's no other way in life. So yeah.
I cannot imagine. I thought my father was absent
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
my mother she was too independent, right? She's like
Correct.
three
Yep.
titles. She had her career path and she was on that career before she met the guy. So when the
Wow.
guy started acting up, it was just like,
Bye.
meh,
We're
bye,
out.
right?
Hmm.
So it
Yep.
was just like
Yep.
he wasn't around. And so
Hmm.
we never had to deal with that type of issue. But how is your relationship with your dad? If he's
Oh, at first it was hard because my parents finally divorced, like for forever, like this time. When they do the three times, and that's it. You have to ask for a divorce minimum. If it's a third time you separate, that is it in the religion, right? And I was 7, and I remember I hated my mother. I hated my mother. I didn't understand because the kids are not told anything, but all we do is we watch and we hear. But from what I heard and watch, I didn't understand. So for me, beating was normal because that's what I grew up seeing. But as I grew up turning into an adult and seeing my mom, she would never say anything bad about my father. But the more I understand and his absence, I remember meeting him randomly after years of moving into my grandparents' house and randomly meeting him on the street. I didn't know he lived more than less than 10 miles from us, but he never came to visit. So I remember just putting things together and deciding, you know what? My mama Melissa is there. But you, what are you? I have total of 14 brothers the last time I checked from this man, some of which I don't
oh,
know.
listen, we're not even gonna
Some
go
of which I do not know. So if you're a Mbaye and you're out there and you know
and
my
your
dad is
last
your
name
dad,
is
please say hello because I'm sorry.
if you have
Fact.
the same last name.
Fact. Same last name. Some like at some
Oh
point I was
man,
doing some
girl.
investigation trying to find if I have a brother or sister somewhere. I know few, but some I've never met. And that's the
Get
truth.
out. So why, like, the psychology in this is so interesting. You said you hated your mother.
At first, yeah.
Is it because you got taken away from the lifestyle?
From the lifestyle, from everything, but also we move into this house and I wasn't liked at first because I was the one, always dressed up nice. I showered twice a day. I'm always wearing nice tennis shoes,
You're
cool
bougie.
socks. I'm bougie, yes. Like I
You're
was that
bougie.
little kid. Yes, I was so bougie. My cousins hated me. And I didn't want to play much. I was always doing the bougie, but that lifestyle's gone. There's no maid anymore. I have to do it all by myself. I have to participate. I was like, I had to take turn. I started cooking at 9 years old. And it's like, okay, you have to cook, you have to help. This is what we do. This is what's go in the kitchen, go in the kitchen. And I remember my mom always telling me, you know what, education is more important. So sometimes you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. And she would fight against everybody in the household. It was like big 25 people and say she has to study. She has to study. So because of my mom, I'm here today. But first I hated the idea of that separation, the idea of lifestyle. But then I was here also and I didn't belong because I was seen as bougie. I was seen as different. So it took me after years and finally standing up for myself, even being bullied by my own cousins, fighting
Yeah,
nonstop. Yeah, I couldn't play. I
yeah.
couldn't. It took me like a while to. I tell the story, the funny story. My mom used to work, and when she would go, my grandmother will help take care of us. But my mom always say to us, "Never fight when I'm not here," especially to me and my brothers. Wait till I get back home. Let's figure it out. Let's talk it out. But also, you guys are blood. Figure it out. And I remember this cousin was always picking on me and one day I used to complain to my mom. My mom says, well, now it's time to stand up for yourself. But then I've always been anemic. So she used to give me iron syrup. And then one day she took the syrup. She was like, here, drink. This will make you strong. You know, you're going to stand for yourself. And I remember one day my cousin is picking on me. And I just like finally stand up for myself. And I grabbed this guy like from the corner. Like his head is right here. We're
Oh, it
fighting.
was
And
a
I
boy.
Boy, yeah, yeah, older, taller, bigger, everything. But I finally fight back and I win. Like, and I win in a way that it was really, really disturbing to describe. But that's the lifestyle we live. Like fist fight, fist fight. And I remember after like he was really like tap out. Okay, this is it. We're done. All right, you win. And I'm like, don't ever mess with me again. My mom give me some syrup, makes me strong. But it was just iron. And that's every time I think about it, I'm like, wow, we all have a power within us. It
You
just takes the
do.
right person to wake you up.
And
And
some
that cousin
simple syrup.
respects me. Yeah. And he respects me since then. He even named one of his child after me. So we became best buddies. And since then, it's I just take turn playing, having a good time and adjusting in that environment.
Oh man. Oh wow. Okay. That is one interesting childhood. That's traumatizing, right? Like that's a lot
Yes.
of trauma to deal with. We
Yes.
got to come to the part where I'm gonna ask you, are you seeing a therapist? Because
Oh, girl, I am the number one advocate of therapy today.
therapy, yeah.
Like, I talk about it like nobody's business. Hey, I'm going to therapy. I got a therapy session today. Hey, I'm going to therapy. I talk
Yeah,
about it because
yeah,
I even meet people from different countries like UK, doesn't matter, anywhere in the world. You mentioned therapy. Oh, no, that's not for me.
there's a
I
stigma
can't talk.
behind it. Yeah,
It's big.
it's
It's
weird, but
huge.
yeah,
It's huge.
there's a
Um,
huge weird stigma. Like we all need, especially with boys, like with males, right? It's like nothing's wrong with me. I don't need therapy.
mm,
I think we
yeah,
all have childhood trauma that we need to unpack, and we need to talk about it. We need
yeah.
something. I myself have done hypnotherapy
It was
just to
good one.
help me,
Hmm.
and it's been life changing. So
It is.
yeah, therapy. There shouldn't be any shame involved
Yeah.
in
Good.
therapy and seeing a therapist. But well, back to the story. This is getting so this is so good. Okay, so you move into your grandparents' house. Your dad is like just went MIA, which is something that's sad, but it happens in our culture where it's like you divorce the mom,
I'm
you divorce
sorry.
the
It
children.
happens everywhere,
Yeah, it's like
even
you
here.
divorce the mother, you divorce the children, which is
Yeah,
very sad, right?
it is sad. It
But
is
this
sad.
abusive man like kind of did the same thing, which is not uncommon for them to do. They just kind of like pick up their lives and move on and
Yeah,
marry 50 different women after that.
yeah.
And the woman
Have
is
more kids.
also,
Have
yeah,
15
have more
kids in the
kids.
street.
Yeah, 15 baby mamas. You guys think that, baby mother thing is something it happened there, but they do it in a way of like they'll marry you, have kids with you, leave you, or you leave them, and then they move on with their lives.
They
That's just
move
all.
on. They move
They
on.
move
Yeah.
on
So
and
my
then they forget
mother,
about you.
so true. My mother raised all three of us all by herself. I'm
Yeah,
the only girl, and I have three brothers, and she did it all. So today,
mine
even though
too.
people ask
Yep,
me, I'm
yep.
like, my mom is my mom and my dad. I'm sorry. She's everything. And it's the truth. It's like,
Sad,
what
but
what
true.
else do you replace it with? Is there something else that's there? She was there when I needed it. She raised me. She fed me. She took care of me. And she showed me the way. And today I'm who I am because of her. So, and it's the reality. So kudos to moms.
The moms that are doing the thing without any help.
Indeed.
In,
Indeed.
in Senegal, there is no child support.
Nope.
There is none of that.
Nope.
They do it all by themselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
everything, and they have to put up with a society that's not so supportive of women
Of women,
deciding
yeah.
men and all of these other things, which is super sad. Now it's a little different, right? Depending on where you are. But
Yes.
we're talking like again, like in the 80s, 90s, and it's not still like you have that's a strong woman. Shout out to your mom.
Oh, shout out to her. I'm telling you. She's my
What
idol,
about
man. She's everything. That woman, we used to call her Iron Lady. Like literally. The whole
yeah,
neighborhood, everybody knew her as Iron Lady. I remember when the movie came out, I'm like, oh
damn the fair? Yep.
yeah, she's out on the field.
Giving her
That
children
was
iron and
that's her
everything.
nickname. Yes, yes. No, she's amazing. She's
Oh
amazing.
man.
She's a
So
fighter.
how I live, well, I didn't really live in a big house, but I do know we have a grandparents' house, right? Which is like a
Mhm.
big house in in Africa. That's
Correct.
where
Yep.
everybody
Yep.
lives. Like, if you're down on your luck, you go back, you always welcome.
Yeah.
If something happens, you can come back. It's like usually
No.
it's like a big house. Like I mean like a huge house where everybody can is welcome, right? We
Hmm.
call that the
Hmm.
grandparents' house. So that's where you grew up after your mom got separated. Those houses are great in the fact that you can always go, you will have shelter. But those
True.
houses are not that great because there's always a lot of drama,
Yeah, and what happens
a
in
lot of
those
tension.
homes? Nobody talk about it too. I'm a speaker. Like it was a lot. It was fun. It was sometimes I think about the fights. I'm like, but for fights it became glory because it was part of it. It was part of the lifestyle. There's no other way. There's no other way, period. That was what it was. And yeah, we come together. There was sometimes like my mom don't speak to my aunt's kids don't speak to us. You know the little things. Oh my god, I'm like, what it got to
Petty,
do with us, the kids? Like,
petty, pettiness. Yep, yep, yep. That's the lifestyle. So
So
that
yeah.
that's not easy. So how was it in total besides the fights and the stuff? Like I know there could be trauma in those
Yes,
houses. Things can happen that nobody will talk about because it's
correct.
we have to keep it in the family, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
anything happened to you in that house before you went off to college?
Oh, a lot, darling. I can write a book, which actually I'm working on still.
Let's
Um,
do
uh,
it.
many books can be written about everything in my life, especially in that house alone. Oh my god, it's interesting. So a lot happened, but also it was just you realize that what I've learned, let's just say that what I've learned from growing up in such a beautiful home but yet chaotic was that men are not also taught to be sensitive, to be supportive. They're taught to just go get. You should, you should, you should. And I realized that there was a huge jealousy between my mom's brothers from same blood, same mom and dad, just because she was working hard and financially independent and maybe was earning more than them. That pain was there and it transferred into the kids. So every time my mom was not there was always some kind of way to poke a story and then like start a fight. And it was always we're beaten down. I got my broken arm when my mom was not there from my uncle. And it was just horrible. It was like almost every
Uncle?
week. Yeah. Every week there was like you see the neighbors come to separate fight. And these fights would go on for like hours. So imagine a little kid as you see it on TV. You're just like this, please stop it, please. That was me. That was me. That was my brothers. Until my brothers grew up and finally step up to these uncles and say, okay, you know what? We're done. You touch her, you touch us. They were big guys now. And I think that's where the peace started just to finally seize. But the beauty is like I also don't forget the fact that with those cousins, I've learned teamwork. With those cousins, I've learned that yes, blood is very complicated, but also there are other people out there who will be family. You're choosing family if you pay attention. I've also learned joy. I loved dancing. That's one thing. Like, but also it takes one person to empower you to believe in yourself and you keep going. And my mom was everything. People will come to her, say stuff about me. Oh, Therese is there rapping. She should not be rapping. Why? Why is she there? She should be in her mother's lap until she finds a husband. My mom will be like, get up, get out of my house. You do not teach me how to raise my kids. Oh, Therese is there. Therese is there doing this. Therese is there doing that. Like it was always nonstop. But having a strong mother and that anchor, she knew that being independent will take a lot of fighting. Being independent will take a lot of like going against all these people, meaning everybody's business. Like, it was not only in the house, it was everybody's business. The whole neighborhood was involved. It was every time there was a fight, someone has to come and separate the fight or make peace. And the imams were always involved. So yeah, it's that kind of lifestyle. But I've learned that joy we can bring with ourselves, happiness we can bring to ourselves, empowerment. If you have someone who's solid and empower you, and then you just believe in yourself, you can make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, guys, for imam is like a preacher. It's just yeah,
Yes.
it's like the
In
preacher
Islam.
in Islam it's like the preacher. Wow. Okay, so how did you and your mother and your siblings ever move out of that house together, or what was the transition out of that situation?
We tried many times. It was always like, come back. Like I said, every time she moved out, had her own apartment, it was like a woman should not be alone by herself, especially if you're a single mother. So it was always like convincing her to come back, which she hates. But somehow, at some point, she gave in. And I think that was it. And I felt like that's where she finally lost her power. And sometimes I talk to her about conversations, but like, where's the damn affair? Where's the damn affair? I feel like she just gave in because to satisfy her mom and her own dad back then who were alive, but mostly sided with everybody else but her. So it wasn't easy. But every time we go, we came back. That's why we ended up. So it just ended up being home. So until I finished high school and graduated high school, I had a right there before I graduated, I literally, met this amazing woman. I say luck, but also because of my mom's pushing me to finish school. Most of the kids, my cousins that I grew up with, all the women, all my young cousins were female, neighbors, my best friends, most of them would be married by 16, 15. So most of them didn't make it. Or even if like they're right after maybe around ninth grade, something like that, they will leave school. So making it out of high school was huge. It was like I'm a woman and I made it. So for me, I didn't move out until I had my high school, and then I went to a different school, an American school. It was big change, huge. So I started learning English, and this is how I made it here. But yeah, it
How did
wasn't
you
easy.
escape without being married at
Oh man, I tell the story at 16. I almost got married, but I'm glad I did not. Again, I think it's the mom. My mom will always tell me, "It's your choice. You don't have to. It's your choice. You don't have to. You decide." I was given a voice at such a young age. And although she would have to fight everybody, meaning elderly people, she would always tell me it's your choice. So keep going. You don't have to marry yet. Take your time. Finish school. Education is very important. Education is very important. And that was my escape, honestly. If it wasn't for education, I'll be forgotten, darling. I'll be someone's second or third wife by now. And I don't think I would last. I wouldn't have last. Knowing me, I'm like, I'm out. Go find someone else. Yeah,
oh,
it's just, yeah,
yeah,
my mom.
this
It's all
is
on my mom.
crazy.
On my
Shout out
mom.
to your moms again.
No, for real.
Shout out
She's
to
a
her.
damn affair.
That was not easy to do.
No,
Um,
it's not.
yeah, some cultures and some societies, it's very all the woman is good for is just getting married.
Yeah.
Which is super sad to say, but it still exists. It still goes on to this day. And it's just like they just prepping you from a young age, right? Even when you
Mm-hmm.
get married, nobody refers to you as your name anymore. It's always like Mrs.,
This is, yep.
Mrs.,
Give up.
Mrs.,
Give
and
up.
then insert the husband's last name there, right?
Yes,
You
yes.
don't have an identity, which is super sad, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you know
And
why
that
women
mindset
do it?
follows you. It doesn't go away. It's not easy to get rid of it just because we're raised in that environment. That's all we know. So that mindset, trust me, I struggle later in my life about a mindset. A woman should be just married.
We're gonna get to that.
We
We
gotta
are
get to
still gonna get to that.
that.
Okay, so finally, thank God you didn't get married at 16. I am
Yeah.
so grateful that you made it to college.
Grateful too. Yeah.
So what was the journey from there? You go to this American school and set it
Oh
up.
my God. It was, I think, it's like the awakening. It was like the awakening, my first awakening for me, knowing that actually, oh my God, I'm actually powerful. I'm actually smart. I'm actually amazing. I can make change. and I'm going to learn another language. Like, what? So it was interesting. I got into that scholarship via this 10,000 Girls NGO, which was actually an American woman who moved down to Cadillac. She was living there and she saw that a lot of young girls were dropping out of school really early and she didn't like that. So she created this NGO. And I randomly just started taking classes with my friend who suggested it. And I earned that scholarship. So yeah, it was luck. But when I got there to the school, I had to do a test in English. Although I did few classes in high school, it wasn't enough. So I had to learn, write, and speak English. So for almost 2 years, that's all I did. Learn English. Learn English, learning until I was done. Then I started my associate degree in that same school. So it was like this. Suffolk University, that's where I went to, was is based normally in Massachusetts, but they had a branch in Senegal and in Spain. So the one in Senegal, that's where I went to, and it was beautiful because I met many people that were not Senegalese. I met Nigerians, Ivory Coast, people from Burkina, Guinea, Americans, French. Like it was an international school, and I took advantage of that and travel through the people that I was with. So I would learn about their culture, I would learn about their language, I learned about their dance, I learned about their food. So it was a beautiful place that I think every kid should go to that kind of school. It's eye
Yeah,
opening.
exposure. Exposure
Exactly.
to the fact that other people exist,
Yes.
other ways of thinking exist,
Yes.
other religions exist, right?
Yes. Hmm.
And most of the time I say there we have more in common than what separates us, and that
Oh,
goes
so
for
true.
every culture. You meet people from any country and it's
Mhm.
just like you start speaking to them and it's like, oh my God, we're not so different after all. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we do this too, but maybe just tiny differences. So
Yeah.
that's
We got
amazing.
the
So that
same.
was like your awakening.
That
Okay.
was,
So
yeah.
how
Yeah.
how did you end up in America from there? Mind you, this is still in Senegal, guys.
This
We're
is
just
still in Senegal. Oh yeah, we're still in Senegal. So here I am speaking English now, and being very involved. And I embraced my leadership skills, and I embraced the diversity. Then I became student body president, and I was so active. I would create these clubs like the Americans could come and have like a language partner with the Senegalese. The Senegalese can learn English, and the other people from the places, sub regions in Africa can learn English, and the Americans can learn either French or Wolof. So I was so involved. I was so happy. I was like, I don't know. I thrived. My creativity was there. It was amazing. And then suddenly the school had to close. Then suddenly I was promised a scholarship to go finish school, but it didn't go as accordingly to plan. So it was interesting, another fight I had to do. So I had to fight to go to the United States and finish my last 2 years of college, because we were just like told, oh, you're going to finish school and you're going to go to America when you're done and blah blah. By the end they suddenly had to close the school. We were like, okay, that's it, you're going to stay. I was like, no, I'm going to fight. And I started fighting, and an amazing person who actually is American, but he used to go to Senegal a lot. His name is Professor Bellinger, Robert Bellinger, and he was watching the whole time. He saw how involved I was. He saw how interesting I was. He saw how smart and everything. He tells me all of this, and every day he reminds me. And he pledged to host me. And there was another girl, Hadi. She was like also my childhood and best friend. We did everything together, like elementary school, high school together, and we got the same scholarship. And we went to this American school together. Then we transferred to Boston together. So she's a sister to me. So we both fight really hard. Then we ended up having a letter that says, okay, we'll take care of the tuition at Suffolk University, Boston. So it was like 100 and plus students who transferred from Suffolk University, Dakar, all the way to Massachusetts. So we were called the hundreds. We were even like featured in the Boston Globe. I had an article there. It was really beautiful. So, but the beautiful part is I already spoke English. I was learning already. I knew already the culture. I already met so many Americans. So it wasn't hard. The only thing that was hard was the weather. No, the weather was
snow.
no. I was like, no. Can I go back? It's too cold, too
It's
much.
too cold here. What is this white stuff?
God, it was like it was really really. So yeah, I got there, and I stayed with my host father and his amazing wife, and we lived there in that house and commute to take the train to go to college every day, made it out of school. It was an experience. It was an experience. Again, it was just you find your chosen family along the way. Yeah.
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 Shout out to those that couple for
Indeed.
taking
Indeed.
on the risk and
Nyla,
hosting.
Nyla and Bob Bellinger. Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Most
Amazing.
of the time, I think us as immigrants, we meet a few people that will change your life, and they just believe in you, and they help you, and they just show you the way, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah. They
that's
believe.
amazing.
They believe.
Okay, so you came, you went to that university, and then what happened from there? Like,
So by the time I get there, here I am, late college student, let's say. I had to take a couple of years just to learn English. So it was kind of, I was in my mid 20s by then. So 25, no, 24, 25 years old. I'm finishing college. And here's my mom in my ear. You should get married, should get married. You're my only woman. You're my only. Remember what I was talking about? I love you, mom, but sorry. I'm a straight shooter. I don't know how to lie. So it's very hard for me. But these are
no,
real
it's
stories.
it's a thing. It's like, and especially like, oh boy, if you're 25, oh, forget it if you're 30, you're like ancient.
You're like,
What
you're
are you
old.
doing single at 30? What's wrong with you? And then it's funny every time they make prayers for you, like they pray for the kids. It's always like, oh, hope you find a good husband. And that's the first
Yep.
thing they're gonna wish for you.
Yep. And it was
They're
like
gonna
that
pray
for
for you
me. Yep. And
for
it
you
was
to
like
have
that
like
for
a
me.
million dollars. It's always like, hope you can
Oh
find a
yeah,
good
and
man,
there
a
were
good
so many
husband.
like it has to do this, that to do. The man have to. I'm like, oh, the man is also not easy because they have to all of this. But my mom was all about. She was that scarcity. I guess just got into her. She's like, you're my only girl. These guys, I don't care. They can get married anytime. Boys, my brothers. But for me, being her only girl, she was like all the time on my ear. And here I am finishing college. But also, before you know it, I started saying the same thing. I want to get married. Okay, I want to get married while I'm in college.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
and then it happened. Before you know it, you manifest what you get. I'm manifesting. I just say it, and before you know, you meet someone who's like, 6 months later, I was like, okay, we're heading hitch, just like that, just like
Just
that.
like that.
While I was still in college, so I got married before finishing my last month of graduation. And I came here as a student visa. When you're a student visa, you can't work. You're not allowed to unless it's maybe a college. And so you can't unless and after you finish college, you have a 1 year gap to try to find a job. And we all know those are the hardest thing. But however, I was always active. I used to work at the senator's office in Massachusetts. I was always just like trying to do stuff. I was part of UN Women. I was always active, like doing things, but preparing for my future because I knew I came here. Yes, not only a scholarship, but also education brought me here so I can become someone. I didn't just come here to, forget about all of that hard work that I did. I came here for a reason, you know. So I kept pushing. I kept pushing my best. But that 1 year gap was not enough. Wasn't enough to find a job. And before you know it, I overstayed my visa, which I didn't like.
So you went out of status.
Went on a status while being married. It took forever for our couple to file. I was just like in the loop. Things you should know. And I actually have a 7 page kind of like a guided information that I think I need to print out for people. Maybe I'll send it to
Yeah,
you
we can
later.
share it. Yeah,
Yeah, we can figure
definitely.
out a way for people to download it. I'll even get it in French because I'm a believer of that bilingual thing. Now I might be speaking French, English, but I want also my French followers to understand what I'm talking about. So yeah, being out of status can get you stuck, and I think that's what got me stuck. And before you know it, I'm a mother in a country I don't know nobody. I have no family. I don't know how kids work. Nobody have a book for it. And I was dealing with postpartum depression. It was horrible. It was horrible, but I did the best out of it.
Can we talk about postpartum depression and how
Ooh,
valid and
it was a
how our society will deny it? Not ours. Coming from a
yeah,
culture where I
a
know,
lot of people. I was in denial. I remember every time I go
yeah,
to the doctor and she would give me this test and ask me questions, I would lie on the test because it's a paper they give you and you have to fill out how you're feeling. Do you feel a certain way? Do you do this? Do you feel like sometimes leaving your kid? Do you feel like, just abandoned? Do you feel? I'm like, well, I do feel all of this. But I remember being in denial. I'm like, no, 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 no. Okay. And I remember asking the doc, my gynecologist, I'm like, okay, so what happened if all this true? Oh, we're gonna keep you on the medication. We're gonna make sure your baby's fine. I'm like, medication, but I'm breastfeeding. I don't want anything, So all of those got in my mind, and I remember lying about it, lying about it. I never say the truth when it comes to those tests about postpartum depression. But I knew deep down I was alone a lot. My husband by then was like working a lot, just started a startup. And here I was alone, no school, no job, and raising a child in this cold weather in Massachusetts. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go besides strolling around. I couldn't drive.
See?
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Nothing to do.
Medic.
Nothing to do. I could just, take the train, go in places, maybe the park. And if it's cold, you can go to the park. So I remember starting one day, I couldn't sleep. It was like probably 3 a.m. in the morning. Here I am just sitting there. Baby's finally asleep. And I just sat there. I was like so unhappy and contemplating, like, what am I going to do? It's my baby and I need the help. But thank God during the day, sometimes I had my, a part of the hundreds, the best friend that I told you about, and a lot of also good friends of mine. They would like, they're all women, but from different countries in Africa that I used to go to college with all the way. We went from Senegal to here together. They would come and help me. They were like, hey, go take a nap. We'll take care of that. So they knew what it's like, the thing that we do back home. So that was nice. But at night, I was like there by myself doing it all. So I remember contemplating my life, and I'm just like, what to do. And random ad came out of nowhere at 3 a.m. on TV, those infomercials. And saw a 25-minute sweat a day. It was Sean T on TV and selling like the T25. I did not hesitate. I knew I needed to get moving. I needed fitness. Here I was, I gained weight. Here I was depressed. Here I was breastfeeding. I didn't know what I was doing. Here I was sleep deprived. I couldn't talk about it. So I was like, let me buy this. So it was like back then, maybe 300 something dollars. I just purchased it. I did not care. Every day when the baby is asleep or next to me, I'll put like in the rocking chair or something, do my 25 minutes in the workout and fitness in my own living room. And that's how I got into fitness. It became such a thing.
Became a
Mentally,
lifeline.
I was
Yeah.
alive. Finally, I was alive again. I was finally being happy. Like, and it was different and I was feeling great. I'm like, wait, what? Why nobody say anything? And I remember my mom, I was in the classroom, you need to stop. You just had a baby. A woman should not have. I'm like, lady, no, no. So I became a coach. And that's why for over almost 6 years, I was an online fitness coach, helping women and telling them, you got to move. And even my second pregnancy, I kept moving the whole time, the entire pregnancy, and documenting it and posting it. And still fighting with my mom till this day. It's too much you're doing. I'm like, nope, I'm posting it. Go work out. You got to move your body. So fitness saved me.
Helped you. Saved you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So why did you feel the need to lie on the paper? What was it? Is it because of the medication or is it because of the
Yeah. And Africans don't believe in therapy.
yeah, the stigma behind it? Yeah.
There's that. It's
Yeah.
like, just hide it. You got it. A woman should, like, I don't know. I don't know what a woman should feel. I don't know what a new
Yeah.
mother should feel. I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
Everything I learned through Google, girl. Google
Yeah. Yeah.
or YouTube. I'll go, I'm like, okay, Google stuff and check it out and see what people, I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll give it a try. And before you know it, I'm adapting to helping myself
Yeah.
getting out of this. And I felt like I needed to lie because, yeah, I didn't want to be under medication because I'm like, oh, so depression. If you Google depression, what's the equivalent of
A
that in
big
our
word.
country? Bangaba.
Yeah, you crazy. Seriously, she's saying that you'll be labeled as crazy, and then we come from a culture like even if you're giving birth, you're not even allowed to be like, oh, I'm in pain. You're just supposed to take everything. Like you're kind of like just like a emotionless human.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to have no emotions. You're just supposed to
Yeah.
take whatever society is bringing down on you, and that's horrible.
Yeah.
Um,
And I remember after I had a baby, I couldn't walk for so long. I had a tear. It was horrible. I had
yeah,
stitches. But thank God I had help. Sometimes my friends would come and help me. I couldn't just sit in the bathroom for so long. And I was like, how the heck in Senegal do we celebrate Ngente 1 week
7 days,
after?
7 days.
Yes.
It's the next
A
week.
woman had a baby, and you have to be on heels in an outfit and say hi to everybody and smile and look good and celebrate like baptism. Let's say it's called like baptism. That's the naming of the child.
The
I was
baby
like,
shower. Yep.
how does this woman do it? I mean, I'm feeling horrible right now. I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Nothing putting this away. It's the
Yeah.
truth.
Sad. Yep. Yep. And then you have to show up, you have to smile, and I'm guessing some of those women are not very happy. They might be experiencing postpartum, and they still have to show up and then doll up and stand in heels, the makeup and everything, the hair. And it's like,
Wow.
why do
Yeah.
you put so much pressure on women? Like, why is there such a pressure and such a
It's the way we celebrate. It's just,
it's
but
sad.
this is who we are. This is our culture. And some things are questionable, but also some things need to be talked about. Someone needs to talk about these issues.
Yeah.
Like, how in the world a woman gets up. But then by my second child, I was like, I found myself literally cooking into the like within that week, and I was so pissed, still like tired, but like pissed. I'm like, oh, here I am doing it actually. It's like I said, the mindset follows you. It's something you have to work to get rid of it. But yeah, how do we do it? I have no idea. But
I
like,
don't know. Okay,
it's
so
painful.
fitness became a lifeline for you.
Yes.
And then what happened after then? Because I don't think you were coach anymore. Right.
Not anymore. With the coaching, I got tired of not being paid enough. Honestly, I was just like, you know what? But I was doing it out of passion, and it was never a salary because it's one of those like people call it pyramid scheme, people call it commission based, whatever. But I honestly did it to help women. I remember. I think that's how we know each other. I reach out to you,
Yeah,
looking for like leads. I'm like, hey, darling, you want to come join us and work out? I used to do
yes,
challenges, wake up 5 a.m. I
yeah,
had a lot of people like I had like moms, stay-at-home moms. I had like women in the military. I had like nurses. Like it was really nice, and they would join. And that 25 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day that we used to do working out, that
yeah.
accountability that they needed, I loved providing that. I was so happy making impact that way, and then what to eat and stuff. So I became a self-taught expert in this, and I don't regret anything. Today, I realized that I have so much to say. I'm like, you know what? I've been motivating people for so long. I'm just like, I'm a speaker, y'all. I'm a speaker. I've been motivating people. I've been speaking, but through fitness. I've been speaking and telling you what to do. I've been speaking to motivate you. I've been speaking to get you out of that, self sabotage, that anxiety, that depression. I've been doing that, but through fitness. So it's more like I've grown into using my voice and instead of sitting on it.
Motivational speaker.
Yes, I'm so excited
Okay.
about it.
So that is super exciting. And then you're also an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. You have your website. Tell us what's the meaning of that word? Because I know we have like
No, Aro.
English speaking audience. They might not understand it. What does it mean? What do you sell? We're gonna have the website in the description, guys. Please go support this amazing woman. She's like a mom of two
Yeah.
amazing little baby girls that she has to teach to be iron ladies.
Oh my God, they have to. They have to. My oldest is amazing. I'm like, I see her. I'm like, yep, she's already got it. Um, my
Giving her that
business.
liquid.
Oh, she's something. She's like, I'm so grateful. Just but also it's like raising girls is like raising yourself, literally, like over again, over again. So you got to figure out how to do it. How you're gonna do it is can be challenging, but it's doable. So for my business, I just I'm very artistic. I used to love drawing, and my first time, I'm gonna go back to the story quick. My first time started going to counseling in college. It was my first time ever trying therapy. And I go to the counselor and I was like, I'm not going, I'm not going, I'm not going. Like here I am, resistant, right? But finally, the boyfriend I was with back then, he was like, you need to go. You need to try no matter what. So I go, and the counselor was like, I didn't know how it worked. So I just went. The first time I didn't say nothing. The second time he made me comfortable. I'm like, okay. I just went the whole thing. Blah, 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 blah. He looked at me like, how did you cope? How did you make it here? I remember his face. But then I realized I'm like dancing, drawing. Like I realized along the way I picked up a lot of things that kind of helped me just evade, be somewhere else in the world.
Escape. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great escape. And I remember being in high school, always drawing. So I used to sketch clothes and I'll just like write, draw like while I'm in math class. I hated my math professor of math, who was weird. He would always like pick on us, like the girls, and say the worst things. So while he's talking, I'm just like, find the paper on the back of it. I will draw and draw. So before you know it, I have like hundreds of collection of clothes that I've been drawing. And I traveled with those all the way from Senegal since high school. I still have those. Until this day, I keep drawing. But with that escape, I always wanted to create something for myself. So the business idea mostly came in because of that. I'm like, I used to say to my mom, I want to be a designer. I want to be a designer. I want to be maybe a model. Maybe I want to be a model. Then I want to be the biggest piece designer in the world. She's like, yes. So at 16, she sent like a huge collection of drawing like sketches to one of the biggest stylists back then home, and I never got a feedback. Never got nothing, but we mailed it. And before you know it, on TV, it felt like I saw what I looks like what I draw. So it was a disappointment. I was at the early age at 16. So I was like, okay, I let it go. But I used to take my mom's old clothes and start sewing, hand sewing. If she couldn't like afford like a top that is like trendy or something, I'm like, Mom, buy me this. She's like, no, you figure it out. So I'll figure out a way to draw it, cut out, the outfit and hand make it. And so I always loved art. I always loved making. I always loved designing. So I was like, I need to do something that's related to that. Right now, I might not know how to sew with a machine, but I know I do have an eye for a certain colors, a certain, pattern. But I didn't want to get into clothes either because everybody was doing clothes, African clothes, everywhere you go. I'm like, I want to stand out. I'm the bag lady. So I started selling bags. And then before you know it, it's handmade bags that I will pick by myself. And then I found someone who could actually make things that I draw. So I started drawing like, can you make this? Can you make this? So I started creating my own brand. I started making like fanny packs, backpacks, and then clutches, all like handmade, but in Senegal. And that made me feel so comfortable. But when I started the business, I could not find a name. And I was struggling with being lost in a country that I didn't feel like I myself anymore. And I needed a name that stick around. And I used to hate noir. So noir means darkness, swarthy, something that's really, really dark. It's a derogatory word in French, if you don't know. But however, that's what I was called because I was the darkest in my family growing up, even in the entire 25 people in the neighborhood. So everywhere I turned around, it was like, hey, Noiro, darling, you're so dark, we can't see you. You better bleach your skin. And I also actually recently had a a speech, a speaking engagement where I talked about the bleaching. So yeah, I did try bleaching just so I could fit in or have a husband or whatever.
Pause. Stop. Stop.
So
Stop. No,
Noiro,
no, 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 no.
I
You
did.
have to stop this.
I
Wait,
did.
wait, girl, stop it, stop it. No.
Oh no, I
Listen.
will tell you. Oh, that is for and for this Juneteenth. This is the celebration I'm doing. I'm talking about colorism, and I talked about colorism like nobody's business. Now I'm like, well, it's true. Most Africans do bleach. 80% of African women still bleach to this day.
Really? That's the
Yeah,
statistic.
yeah,
80.
yeah. They don't even know where the idea come from. That's the thing. How do you change a collective mindset? How?
My God, I didn't know it was that high. I mean, I grew up seeing people do it. I was never interested. I thought it was always dirty. I
Oh,
see it, and it's not just Africans. I mean, other cultures do it too.
Caribbeans,
And,
Asians,
and
it's
Asians,
everywhere.
the Asians, the bleaching. I mean, you're already white, but
Yeah.
they're bleaching because they want to get that white
Light
porcelain,
skin,
whatever.
yeah.
Right.
No, I was
So
told you
it's
will never
weird.
get married. You're too ugly, you're too dark, man will never marry you. So I
You've
grew up
heard
with
that.
that. Yeah,
You've
I've heard
heard
that
that
many times.
day in and day out.
Yeah,
And
and from
it's
my
so
own
sad
family.
because the whole country is like
Dark
80% black.
skin.
So
Yeah.
what is your issue? Like, I don't get it. Like, you need to stop. Just
Yeah,
stop.
no, no, no. It's
Like,
a
if you're,
mindset. They don't understand where it comes from. So it become trend and become more practice and they don't see the consequences. And I tried it and I looked horrible. So in my speech, I even talk about I looked like roasted chicken. It was horrible. I did try.
roasted chicken.
Roasted chicken. It's like, oh, it's white in here, it's dark in here, it's white. Forget about it's like so dark in here, it's like light in
Oh
there.
my God. So
Oh, kill me
We
now.
have to stop. So what was your mindset? Because it's been years of just hearing negative things about your skin color, which is
Yes.
gorgeous, by the way. Now,
Yeah.
it's so funny because now everybody's embracing your skin color.
Dark skin, yeah. But that, do you
Everybody's
know what I talk about?
Yeah.
Honest truth is, we're all the same in this world. So whether in my country people bleach, people tan here extremely just so they can look darker, right? And we are trying to look lighter.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody likes themselves. We always want what we don't have. And that
That
was
is
my
the root
speech.
cause of everything. You don't like who you really are, and
We
you
don't.
don't accept who you are. And it's funny, I find your skin color gorgeous. I mean, your
Oh,
tone
all my
is like
life.
the tone of Senegal. And it's so
Dark.
funny. Like whenever I see my people, they have that tone. I can tell.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's like I think we're the only African country with this skin color, except for Sudan.
Oh,
They have
Sudan. Yeah. I tell people, I'm
darker.
like,
So
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
sometimes, but then you can tell they're not from Senegal. I can
yeah.
tell when I see a Senegalese person just by the skin
True.
color, and I'm like, that is
True.
gorgeous.
Oh,
But the
man.
sad reality is those
You
people
might,
with that skin color are not treated well. They're made fun of, and everybody, even it will come from your own family, you need to bleach. And then
yeah.
they will try it and they would think, thank God I always thought it was nasty. People who do it smell to me because of the cream is stinky
It
and I
does. I told you have to listen to the speech. You have to listen to the speech because I use it in a muscuminated
share it.
way. And I tell like it smells like garlic and onion, but like chemically on your skin. It's horrible. It's horrible. And the reality is, all my life I've been called dark ugly. And
Not
I
just
will
that, they
never.
added ugly to it.
Yeah, growing
Why
up
would
all
they
my
say
life.
that?
Because most of, and I grew up in a family. It was like mostly Fulani. My grandma is a Fulani. I never liked light skin or medium, dark. I mean light skin, but darkest
Fulani
I was
is a
dark
tribe, yeah. Fulani is a tribe where most people will look like Hispanics almost, right? Like you
almost.
can
Yeah,
see a
curly
Fulani
hair, long nose, beautiful
same
eyes,
thing.
light
Yeah.
skin. Yeah,
You will see a Fulani person now and you will think they're either Dominican or even lighter. Like you would
yeah,
just think from they're Hispanic, like,
yeah.
either
Let's
Dominican or
see.
something else.
When I think Fulani, I think Ethiopians a little bit.
Yeah,
It's like almost those features
yeah,
that
yeah.
bad. Yeah. So I grew
But
up with that. My mom is like that. When you see my Mimi next to my mom, you're gonna be like, "Are you sure this is your mom?" Because I'm dark. She light skinned, and even if she's light skinned, she's still bleaching. I'm still fighting that.
you're gorgeous.
I try. Thank you, darling. You're the
It's not
best.
it's
You're the
not me
best.
just saying stuff. It's like, why can't we embrace we need to love ourselves, guys. Listen, if you're it doesn't matter what color you are, right? Dark,
Yeah.
just love the skin you're in. Don't
Who
try to
you are.
really change because society can be cruel, kids can be cruel. I was called
Mm-hmm.
dark.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. It's like, do I care? No, and I
Yeah.
was called dark or black by other black people
Yeah.
doing that to me, which is the funniest thing ever.
It is.
The
It is.
person calling you
Colorism.
names is probably like darker than you are or very similar.
Colorism. And that's what I mean. It's a mindset. And I did not play. I brought a brown paper bag, y'all, and I showed people the test in my speech. I'm like, this is what it was in the past. If you're brown like this, then you're beautiful, you're worthy, you're on top. If you're dark like this, you're ugly, you're not worthy, you're the bottom. And that's how sometimes they did choose our ancestors when it comes to slavery and where they should work or not. So that mindset stuck around. Your hair is not beautiful, snappy, go and go straighten it, right? Your skin is too dark, you're ugly, you belong at the bottom. And this is the reality. But also, nobody likes themselves. We are all just wandering around. We have a hard time accepting who we are. We're always looking at the mirror, but we're looking at reflection of what society say we should look like instead of seeing who we truly are.
You're not
And
going
it's
within
sad.
you. You're just seeing yourself from the eyes of everybody else.
Yes, and
For
if
me.
in my whole life I've been called too dark, you're too ugly, too dark in my own country, then I came in here, things change. Everywhere I go now, it's like compliment.
Gorgeous.
Oh my God, your skin. Oh my God, your skin. What do you use? Oh my God. Some people run. They don't even ask. They just go, oh my God. They start touching me.
Is
It's
it real?
yeah, yeah. Every
But
single
you
day.
know
I'm
what?
just like, you know what?
That's a new thing, and I think that depends on where you are, what location you're in, and who you are around, right? Not to just go off topic, but
Yeah.
when I came to America, I was in a predominantly black school, right? And
Hmm.
then I was called names by black children,
Hmm.
right? But when you take yourself out of that environment and you put yourself in a different environment, all of a sudden everybody's so fascinated, like, oh my
Yeah.
God, you're so
Yeah.
pretty, you're so beautiful. And it's like, So it's sad that our own people,
It's sad that black people don't support black people, and white people
the
sometimes
black,
support black people more than we should. Fact.
that has been my experience, and it's just sad that, I was
Fact.
discussing this with somebody else. Like, you would get called all type of names and all type of things from people that you come here and you're like, oh my God, they look like me, right? I
Mm-hmm.
see my people, but they're not your people. They're
No,
they're
no.
like, they putting that you're African, you're not here from here, you don't belong, you don't speak, you spoke English, I spoke no English, so it's just like, you don't belong, who are you, you're
Who
like
are
from
you?
Africa, you're like weird, and
I say honestly, in honor of this Juneteenth and being a motivational speaker and being also, let's say, semi activist, I cannot stand just in it's not fair. Let's just say that. But you've experienced that being here. You've seen that it was harder to belong and blend in with African Americans. I did the same, and hundreds of immigrants have lived the same thing. And the reality is, divide to conquer is still here. I'm an observer. I've always been an observer in my life. And when I go out, I have these conversations with black people. Some are very resistant. Oh, I don't care. You stay who you are. I say, some are like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, the stories we're taught growing up and the story you're taught growing up is different. So here we are clashing. We're supposed to be the same. We're supposed to be the same. We're supposed to help each other. We're supposed to understand each other. You're African at the end of the day. I'm black, you're black. But how come we don't have this yet? And conversation needs to be had. I keep saying that conversations needs to be had. I say it like that because I
the
love it.
divide, I saw that somewhere, the
Divide and
divide
conquer.
between the African and the African Americans.
It's still there.
These conversations need to be have an experienced. I experienced firsthand. It's not everybody too. We're
Yeah.
not generalizing, but the divide, like, where are we so separated that
Mindset.
that people from Africa and people African Americans, they cannot get along most of the time. And
Mhm.
there's a division there that's always going to be there. And maybe it's mindset, maybe it's culture, maybe it's the way they were raised. I don't know what
Mhm.
it is, but these are very important conversations that need to be had.
We need
Next
to start a
time,
conversation. And every time I see it, actually, every time I talk about it, I used to be scared to talk about that because I don't want to be attacked. I'm going to be attacked by this, by the way. And I'm ready today. I'm ready. I don't care because my truth is my truth. Your truth is your truth. There's a lot of people who experience this, and we just complaining between each other, but nobody's starting the hard conversation. Why
yeah,
are we doing this? And
yeah,
sometimes I meet some African American, they're ready to talk about it. And I tell them some things about, like, growing up. They're like, well, really? And they're shocked. So knowledge is good, but also listening to each other's side and
yeah,
figuring out a path where we can all
yeah,
meet and be together, and the
yeah,
collective being black and loving each other, supporting each other. I think
yeah.
it's very important. And I'm really longing for that. I have to plug my phone. Can I step away for a second?
Go ahead, go ahead. We'll
Okay.
pause it. Yeah. 102.
Darling, this is a very juicy
Oh
podcast.
man, this is so good. Don't worry about this. I'll cut this part out. It's
Oh
so good.
yeah, no worries. There's so much to talk about. I don't
Yeah,
mind. Whatever you want to post.
okay, so can we talk about, I know I'm gonna cut this part too. Can we talk about when you were saying you're gonna tell our sisters how to avoid the trap? I know we're not going in deep into those
Yeah.
details because
Let
of
me
your
quickly
silliness.
go back to, because we got sidetracked with the Noiro. So for me, yeah, it started like that. Self-acceptance and understanding, yes, I'm black. And that name used to suck, but I'm gonna name my business after Noiro because I love and accept myself for who I am. And it's nice that people praise me and they give me power. So I named my business after Noiro. Right now, the website is not working. However, if you go ahead and find me on Instagram, I have a professional page there. And I'm trying to do something new where it's like my own brand right now. So looking for investors for that, and I cannot wait. So that's where Noiro came from. But um, so coming here as an American, as an African, first generation. Now it's very important. What's first generation to me? Sometimes you hear first generation, but it's parents who migrated here, they had their kid here. Or maybe a kid who was born there and raised here straight. I wasn't born and raised here. So I came by myself. No mom, no dad, no uncle, nobody. So I'm a first generation immigrant. So I left a different environment and I'm in a new environment. With courage, I left everything I know to live into a new country. That's courageous. It's very, very hard to do. And remember the African wall of saying, what they mean to the kunyapa def tatunen, I def tatunen.
Translate.
That one. So that means if you go to a country and everybody's naked, you have to be naked too. You have to follow what you find. Now, that I think if you try to stand out, usually you get hurt. If you put on your clothes and you stand out, you get hurt. But also, if you're just naked and dive in without understanding what you're getting yourself into, that's where the pain is. So the advice I give usually is to stand in the middle. Be who you are by accepting and knowing your values, who you are, where you came from, what brought you here. However, there are very important things that I've learned along my journey that I wish I could probably change, but past is a past. We're in the present, so we keep moving on and future is unknown. Know the American system, meaning understand what credit scores are. In our cultures, we don't have a number tied to any person or to an individual. But here, the reality is credit scores is something that's tied to you and with your business, what you do, what you want to purchase or anything. So you have to have a certain credit scores to be able to, I guess, live in the most comfortable way. If not, you cannot get a house, you cannot get a car, you cannot. So understand credit scores. That's something that I wish I learned in college. They don't teach that. I also didn't get the chance to understand and learn the culture I'm in. So instead of just diving in and doing everything what they're doing, get that. Understand taxes. In our culture of origin, Senegal, we don't have like stuff like that. You don't pay taxes on everything. And if you want to buy a house, you can go get cash here. Oh, that's mine now. Oh, car, cash here is mine now. But here you pay until you're free. So there's a lot of information that needs to be taught, or I'll probably create a guide where newcomers can kind of take a look and learn from there and grow. So also understanding marriage, understanding the rules of marriage, understanding what's shareable, what's not shareable, what you're entitled as your right as a wife, as a husband. These things we don't talk about because, again, if you grow up in a culture where you're just supposed to be married and have kids and probably have no say, if you apply that, you will be easily targeted. You'll be a prey. Because there's so many people out there, they're not good. There's so many people out there, they see weakness when it comes to that because it's a different mindset. This is empowerment, freedom. This is America. And there's so many people who will take advantage of that. And you will end up being in a place where it's like lonely and it's hard. You don't know what you're fighting, but you're fighting. So it's very important to understand those basics and understanding also credit cards, how credit cards work. If I get a credit card, what does it really mean? If I'm getting saving, I'm sending money back home. What does it mean? How do I get my business going? How do I get my business recognized? All of that is very important. Even if you work, you have to speak up for yourself. You have to figure out not to be used. Like my first job, I was the only one in a call center with a college degree. Everybody else did not even make it out of high school, but I was in that group, regardless of my degree. It was very hard to go move forward. And I spoke multiple languages. So they would even sometimes call me. It's like, hey, we have a French caller here. Can you help us? I'm like, how am I not being paid what I'm worth, even though I have a higher degree and I speak multiple languages and you use me in different departments, but I'm paid at as low as anybody else who did not even make it to high school. So these are realities that probably I'm living, anybody else is living. So the immigrant, we come here to contribute, but also we make this economy. And it's a fact. You go to places, who's building our roofs? Latinos, Mexicans. Truth, you see it. You go to the road, I barely see anybody. Besides maybe the top managers, everybody else is immigrant. You go to hospitals, to places, people who don't even speak English, immigrants. So the immigrants contribute to the American economy, just like our ancestors did. So it's the same pattern that keeps going. However, things need to change. We need to evolve and learn how to integrate, but in a smart way, how to belong, but in a smart way, but still maintain our authenticity, our values, and who we truly are. Because that's what makes America America. It's a field with a bunch of vanilla, chocolate, you name it, red hair, black hair, blonde eye, blue eyes, whatever. It's a mix of. It's a melting pot. It's a place where you can come and belong, but it takes work. Don't just come and jump into it like I did, and without necessarily understanding. But I've learned the things the hard way, and I will do my best. I'm very vocal. I'll make sure advice is there. Hopefully, people can take it and understand. And now I'm building up my consulting, coaching slash coaching, where I can help people, guide them. But also, if they need a lawyer or anything like that, I'll make sure to direct them to the right people. So it's more than just speaking. It's more than just a voice. I'm using my experiences to empower people, my people, the immigrants, whether you're from Africa, from a different country. It can be easy to lose yourself being into this country. It can be easy to don't know where to belong, or trying so hard to forget who you truly are, just to try to fit in. But I say at the end of the day, if you're yourself, you will attract the right people. And if you're yourself, you will thrive.
I don't know what to say to this. But wow. So
Okay.
just a question I'm curious about with you growing up around violent, like, witnessing men that are violent. Did you ever fall into a relationship where the individual was violent towards you? And did you accept that? Like,
I would say there's different forms of violence. There is economic violence, there is emotional violence, abuse, there is mental abuse, things we don't think about.
yeah,
Things we
it's not
don't think
always about
about.
hitting.
Yeah. Sometimes
It's
those are worse. Those are the worst to get rid of. Those are the hardest, honestly, through my experience, because I've experienced it all. I've experienced physical abuse all my life, right, growing up. And I came here and I'm like, mental, emotional, economic. You don't even have access to your own card, or you're like, things are being open to you in your name and you don't even understand the system. That's all abuse. That's why I say people learn. And this abuse, this form of abuse, a lot of people don't talk about it. However, this is the thing that makes you lose your soul. Mental abuse is the
the
worst.
worst. It's the
It's the
worst.
worst. It is so painful, extremely painful. You lose who you are, because you're there doubting yourself all the time. You're there being hard on yourself all the time. You're there being told, it's wow. Wow. It's like, okay, literally, let me just remove who you are and place who I want you to be. And that is very hard to come back from. So yeah, these are the kind of abuse, honestly, I'll be very vocal about. And then, making sure that at the end of the day, people are people. At the end of the day, hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people. That's a fact. And
Yes.
the society that we're in, unfortunately, is a lot of adults walking around with unhealed trauma,
Yes.
and they're just trying to inflict pain on other people because they're hurt. Hurt
Yep.
people do hurt people.
They
Wow.
do.
Okay, so you in therapy. Let me just say that again. She's in therapy, guys, because you need to be. I mean,
Uh,
we all need therapy, but some levels of trauma needed more. Like, this is
I
crazy.
mean, yeah, you'd be surprised. Not some people do well internalizing, but also finding a way out, escape. But for me, when I tasted therapy for real, like finally give it a go, I was really at rock bottom. I was suicidal. I was done. I didn't want
Yeah.
to live anymore. So I started going. And before you know it, I have so much to say. So I started seeing therapy as, it's not your mom, your dad, or that friend. People can listen to you vent. People can listen to you with your problem, but they don't know how you feel. And I feel like a therapist find a way to put themselves and being open to listening, active listening. in kind of putting their shoes into yours. That's how I see therapy. And they don't judge. They will listen to you the way you need to be listened to. And they don't necessarily need to validate. But as you do therapy, you started having your own answers just by talking without it being influenced by a mother, a dad, a sister, a brother, a husband. You know what I mean? Therapy is deeper than that. It's you have to be able to tackle the things that are like buried there for so long, the things that make you a people pleaser, that make you a procrastinator, that makes you hate women, that makes you change your sexuality, that makes you, there's a lot that we don't realize that trauma has some like effects, side effects that we don't realize. And I was a people pleaser. I'm just like, oh yeah, because I need that attention so badly. I'm looking to belong. I'm looking for that. But therapy in a daily, not on a daily basis, but minimum go weekly. Minimum. Just have someone to talk to. Just go to have the person listen. And before you know it, you're finding yourself. You're finding solutions. You're being comfortable talking about the uncomfortable. And I think we all need to do that. The more we bury a poison, that's what kills us. That's what kills us. So for me, embracing therapy, it's been going on over what, 5 years now, nonstop. I'm not going to stop. It's part of my lifestyle now.
Yeah. It
It's
is
part of
part
my
of
lifestyle.
life. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's never ending.
You have to add it. And I did other things where, even though I grew up Muslim, I would also, every time when I wake up, I pray first. I'll meditate. I need to meditate. I need to do it.
Meditation is huge.
Oh my
It's
God. They need to talk about this
huge, girl.
more, darling.
It's so huge. I meditate. I am not even gonna. It's a big thing. My kids meditate, and
Oh,
separate from your prayer. It doesn't
yeah.
matter what you believe in, but
Mhm.
you just need to sit quietly with yourself and go within.
Yourself.
And
Yeah.
I do it. I meditate too.
Oh,
I'm a big advocate of it. Like
it's
everybody in my house does
beautiful.
meditating.
It was
It's
so hard to do
intense.
at first, but once you get into it, yeah, you get to see
Yeah,
yourself, feel yourself, to
yeah,
know who you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
And it's
At
very,
first,
very,
it's so
very.
weird. It's like, what do you mean? What is this? What's going on here? Like, what? What are you
Can you
doing?
sit still and ignore the noise, or having I say the demons start crawling in your head. Is like all those
Yeah,
voices just started
yeah,
talking. Can you
yeah,
sit still and maintain and control maybe those
yeah,
voices? That's hard. Can you
yeah,
sit still and replace those voices with something positive?
yeah.
That's hard. Yeah, that's meditation. Hi, baby. Comment ça va? Oh, your
Hi,
name is Mommy. What's your name?
Lukaya.
Okay, you're beautiful. Are you hungry?
Thank you.
Mommy
You're
needs some
welcome.
food, okay?
Yeah, mom is almost there. So yeah, therapy is big, meditation is big, and these are the things that I adopted that helped me a lot. Journaling, writing down my feeling, just put it out there. If I
And
can't talk to my mom about certain things, because when you're immigrant, some things that you just don't want to talk about. It's a lot. There's a lot that you
you
keep.
can't. You have to
Yeah.
keep it in because they wouldn't understand. It's so hard, like having, even though your mom is very cool and they're very open,
Hmm.
more open than most people in that society.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just hard. You
It
cannot
is.
talk about everything to them,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I get that. Journaling is huge, meditating, going it within, like,
Yeah. Yeah. And then
um
fitness. Fitness. I
fitness.
tell people fitness because the food is different, reality. The stress life is different, another fact. And we have to take care of ourselves. Our
Yeah,
body is our temple. You have to take care of yourself. When you do fitness, you're taking care of yourself internally, outside too, but mentally. A regular fitness. So even though I'm not a coach anymore, I still work out and I still post it and I tell people work out. And I get people, giving me advice and you should do this. Are you a trainer? I'm like, no, no, no. I'm just an advocate of
yeah.
physical exercise.
Fitness.
You have to, because I know how
It
much
needs to
it's
be
helped me.
non-negotiable. It
Yes.
it needs to be non-negotiable. I mean, now it is, but I used to make all the excuses, right?
Hmm.
I can't go, the kids and that and this, I can't do it. Oh man, I'm tired, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, something just clicked.
Yeah.
And it's like, I cannot, well, now you can kind of purchase a body you want, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I cannot physically just and then I have the body. I have to work for it, right?
Yeah,
I have to take care of myself. It's part of my thing. Daily fitness is necessary, guys. Like you got to take care of yourself, and it's part of self-love.
it is.
It is part of self-love. You
It
gotta
is.
take care of your body and stuff. But wow, what a story! I mean, I have like a million questions.
We can do another one. Let's do a repeat. No,
We're gonna have
a
to.
two, part two.
That's a fact because there's a lot we didn't cover,
Yes.
and we're gonna have you back for a part two,
No
and it's gonna
problem,
be
darling.
it's
No
gonna be
problem.
unleashed, like just unleashing everything. And I can't wait for that. But I am so grateful that you came.
I'm
A
grateful to
lot
be
was
here.
covered, and it was wow, amazing. And I'm glad you got your skin tone back, because girl,
Oh,
you
man.
will never go back from that nasty stuff.
Oh, it smells like garlic and onion and chemicals. It's horrible. You don't want it. I mean, now it's worse. Now they have injections.
What?
Yeah, now you can inject your body and just keep being lighter. It's horrible. Yeah,
Sad, sad.
yeah,
That goes back to self-love, but
yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna have you back for a part two. That's a
Okay,
promise, because we have a lot of things we need to cover again. A lot of
indeed.
things were left unsaid, and a lot of things need to be covered. But
I
thank you so
agree.
much for coming.
It's a pleasure.
And
It's a
you're right.
pleasure. Thank you for having me. I am
Thank
so
you for
grateful.
coming. I appreciate it so much. We're gonna have your resources in the description box, everything
Perfect.
we're talking about, and then so guys, we're gonna have her Instagram, her TikTok, everywhere you can find her, and then also links to your speeches, because I know
Yes,
they're powerful.
yes.
I know they're powerful, girl. It's like,
Oh, I'm so grateful. I've been
especially
given
I want to
places.
hear about the one with the colorism and the skin.
Ah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it. It's actually you go type in Therese Mbaye Toastmaster. You'll see I was wearing red, and you'll see it. It's right there on YouTube for now. But everything so far is Therese Mbaye. That's my personal brand. So my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok is all Therese Mbaye. My YouTube is all Therese Mbaye. So that's
Yeah,
the brand. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, darling, for having me. I'm
Awesome. Thank
grateful to
you.
be given a voice and a place where I can be myself. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
See you soon, darling. Bye. There you go.
Hey guys, welcome back to and
Go back to
yay.
yay, we're back.
And we're back. Okay, so a question that I ask everybody. What
Mhm.
advice would you give your younger self?
Advice I would give my younger self. The first one would be for me take the time to understand the environment you're in, whether it is at home, in a new country, in a new relationship, in a new anything, any environment. Take the time to understand your role in that environment. It's very, very important. The other things that I think about, the challenges, especially that I went through, is economically. It's very important to understand any environment, the economy, right? You have to, even if you think you're not educated. YouTube is there, Google is there. We have all the information we can get into this world. And be patient. There's no rush into this world. Things are going to happen when it's time. And you don't also have to give up who you are just to fit in. You don't have to. Take the time to honor your values, honor who you are, and stand tall, being authentic. And I think that's what makes everybody unique. And that's what makes everybody stand out. So embrace your uniqueness. Embrace, no matter people can call it weird, awkward. I don't care. I say my kids, weird is good. Be weird.
It is so good.
It's
You
so
have no idea how weird is good.
good. It is so good. I've always been
So
weird. And
good.
yeah, embrace
Weird
being
is
weird.
good.
Embrace being
I don't
different.
care.
Yeah. So
Weird
embrace.
means just that people are unfamiliar with who you are, and
Yeah.
it's not a thing. I mean, let's just say we take you and plug you in a different country, you'll probably be
Yeah.
like exceptional or something, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
change your environment. If you everybody's saying you're weird, you need to just remove yourself from that area. And
For real. For
yeah,
real. You don't have to change who you are or even change your character for no man, for no friend, for nobody. Your character is your character. That's your essence. That's who you are. So stay true with who you are, your values. You don't have to follow society's agenda. Don't get married early just because everybody say you have to. I mean, it's changing nowadays and I love it. I'm loving it. I'm here for it. And as a woman, the advice I would give to my younger self, you're more than capable and you're worthy. You've been told you can't, you've been told you have to. Everything has been dictated by everybody else. But take the time to know your core values, your qualities, but also to embrace your worth. We are all born worthy.
Fact.
All born worthy. You don't have
Straight
to
fact.
fight for it. You don't have to go get it from someone else. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to borrow it. It's innate. It's in us. You're worthy. So if someone else tell you other than that, don't accept it. Don't accept it. Embrace your worth and just know that you're capable and fight. The last advice that I give to myself, your younger self, do not get stuck in any pain or any challenge that God, life has thrown at you. Don't get stuck there. Find a way to look at yourself in the mirror, even though the mirror is shattered, you can't see much. It's broken. It's pain. Look at yourself in the mirror, embrace who you are, and use those challenges and empower yourself. Use that to fuel who you are. Use that to help you go to the next step. Don't get stuck there. You know how we dwell so much? I could have been that person dwelling about my life or everything about happened and just sit there. Oh my God, this happened to me. Oh my God, this happened to me. Oh my God. At some point I did in my life and I realized, when is this going to stop? And only I had a power to stop it.
It's fact.
So stop dwelling on your problems. Everything that's happened to you happened for a reason and it happened for you. It's not against you. It's teaching you to grow, to learn, and to become a better self. That's what I would say to my younger self. Stay who you are, learn, grow, embrace your authenticity, but never get stuck in things. It's just obstacles and they make you be a better person. We all got that power. So stay resilient, guys, man. Stay resilient. Stay resilient. Yes.
Resilience. I love this. Okay, so
Thank you. Thank you. You're the best.